Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm going to be reacting to Who is the Witness of the Mind? Swami okay. Swami. I call him Swami. He's the first Swami I've seen, so his I don't know if that's his first name, his whole name, or his last name, but Sarvapriyananda. And I probably butchered that name. Anyways, this is a request. If you have requests, please leave it in the comments below. Please leave the name, the title of the video, the YouTube channel, and the length of it. Sometimes links do get blocked by YouTube. It gets put into this held review section, and there's a lot of links over there with people linking their websites and probably people promoting their channels. With as many comments as I'm getting, I'm having to ignore that and having to stop filtering that out because that's taking up a lot of time. So the safe bet is to just leave a comment of, like, title, YouTube channel, and the link. That way I can find it myself. Sometimes links do go through and I can click on them, but I end up finding out that some of them are actually going into the spam area, I guess. Anyway, let's go and get started. CC on? Now it is. So this goes, as a matter of fact, before I get started, I'm sorry. He's the one that introduced me to tutorial, which I did understand a lot better because of him. Maybe other videos of other gurus have talked about it, but I didn't quite understand it at all. And he's the one that really brought that interesting question in my mind, and it relates to the Matrix to me, and it's just really fascinating.
We have several questions prompted by your lectures on decription Viveka. The first one is from Manju. According to the decription Viveka, the mind is observed, and I, the witness, consciousness, am the observer.
Sorry, God, honestly, if I wasn't reacting to this, I'd be pausing and rewinding so much more than I am now. I, the witness, the consciousness? So basically the witness and the consciousness are the same. I, the witness, consciousness, and the observer.
Hence the mind is the object, and I am the subject. But without the mind, this knowledge of object and subject cannot take place. Does this mean that the mind is the subject and object at the same time? It contradicts the principle of observer and observed being separate.
Now this is what I was wondering, actually. That I was the video I keep talking about and never doing. Because I whenever I watched his video on Naturia, the 4-parter that I have, I wanted to do a video and talk how I understood it and how maybe I am trying to, well, how I understood it for one, how I think maybe it worked better, I don't know. But I do understand that that video was just maybe him and maybe 4 parts in that school, and he said the subject matter was very difficult. I would completely understand that, and maybe trying to explain that in just 4 hours is not enough time. But I just wanted to explain as best as I could and how maybe I understood it and how maybe I want to understand it. But that's not to say that I'm not open to understanding other things too. And this is actually one of them, where the mind is both the witness and the observer. I think that's what she's saying there.
As per decription Viveka.
Okay. Manju, you have put the question very well. It's a good question. If you think seriously about these things, this question has to come. You know what the question consists of? Decription Viveka says the observer and the observed are separate. Clearly, it works very well when you say, the first verse of the decription Viveka says, the world of forms is the observed, and the eyes are the observer, and they are separate. That's different. This is different. Clear enough. The eyes are the observed. You know, your eyes are open, closed, you need glasses, all these things you know. Who knows? The mind knows. And the eyes and the mind are separate. You are the mind watching the eyes. Clear enough. Then third stage. The mind is also the observed. You know when you are happy. You know the misery. You know that you understand. You know that you do not understand. You know that you can remember. You know that you cannot remember. All of the activities of the mind are clearly evident to something within you. So that something is the witness of the mind, and the mind is something separate from the witness. You are the witness of the mind, and through the mind, the witness of the body, and through the mind and the body, witness of the world. Okay, this is what the first verse says. Now here, a discerning person will say, hold on. eyes are separate from the object, clear enough. Okay. One step back. Eyes are separate from the mind. Eyes are a different entity. Mind is a different entity. Clear enough. Because the mind observes the eyes. But the thoughts of the mind are evident to me. Isn't it the mind itself observing the mind?
Sorry. That is my thinking right now. Honestly, with that, I have that as a thought as well. That I understand that the Turiya itself is separate from the mind, but my other thought is that what the Turiya is also in the mind itself, merely because the oh man, I wish I had my art thing up here so I could draw out what my thoughts were, but I don't know if I want to save it for the video or not, because this is literally what I'm thinking right now. And let's just continue on. I need to shut up and let's continue on.
Why are you saying that there is a witness apart from the mind? Right? That's the question.
Yes.
It's an important question. If you actually understand the question, you are halfway towards enlightenment. And if you get the answer to the question, you are enlightened.
Okay, yeah, but no, I doubt that I'm halfway there for sure.
Listen to this carefully. The mind can observe the mind. Why? How? You see, what's the function of the mind? What's the function of the eyes? To see. What's the function of the ears? To hear. What's the function of the mind? To
Thought.
think. The eyes see. See what? Forms. The ears are used to hear. Hear what? Sounds. The mind is used to think. Think what?
Thoughts?
Think about anything. The mind can think about the world. It can think about you. It can think about this place. But the mind can also think about other thoughts. I am so unhappy. I am stewing in my own unhappiness. That unhappiness is where? In the mind. And when I reflect upon my unhappiness, mind is thinking about...
I don't know why I laughed there, because it's I'm stewing in my unhappiness. I laugh because yes, he's right. You know, it's I don't know how to explain it, because this unhappiness is not something necessarily in the outside exterior world. It is still something physical in your body, though. Chemicals and stuff like that. Well, whenever you feel unhappiness or happiness, scientists can measure your brain activities on that, and also what chemicals are released in your body. Endorphins being happiness, or maybe addiction, something like that. Let me rewind. I'm sorry, I keep pausing it so much, but it's just, I swear, this dude.
And when I reflect upon my unhappiness, mind is thinking about the unhappiness. The mind itself thinks about the unhappiness in the mind. So the one thought is thinking about another thought. Are you with me so far?
One thought is thinking about... I am. So... So generally the unhappiness is something that has occurred in the physical realm of your life. So for example, if someone punched you, you're going to be unhappy. I'm sure of that. At the very least, unhappy. Maybe, if you're not into that kind of thing. But someone punches you, you become unhappy. You go away, you start thinking about that event that occurred in your past. So it's not... So there's a reason for that thought, though, that it's not like you become unhappy just because you wanted to be unhappy. You become unhappy because of something that occurred in your life, and you're thinking about that event. It is in your mind, because that event cannot be necessarily recreated in the exact time and form. You can recreate the event, but it is not the event, because that event is now in the past. You can recreate it to your best of your abilities, but still. And your mind, your memory, it's your memory, basically. You remember things, and that event obviously would have an impact, and you remember it. And your thought process and a portion of your mind is going back to your memory and thinking about that. Okay, that's it so far.
This is called introspection. It's called introspection. And remember, it's a function, a capacity of the mind. It can think about the world outside, it can think about the mind itself. Mind can think about other parts of the mind. One thought thinking about one thought being about another. Thoughts are always about something. That something could be external, it could be internal also. When it is internal, the word you use is introspection. I'm introspecting. I'm looking into the contents of my mind. It is mind watching mind, clearly. It's one of the functions of the mind. But note that you are not always introspecting. Are you always looking into the contents of your mind?
I will say no, not all the time. Even though I say I think a lot, but I'm sure there are times when my mind is not working. When maybe a lot of times when my mind's not working, then there's just nothing there, no thoughts, just all instinctual reaction. When I play video games, I don't necessarily think like, oh, do I need to go? I do think about that, but not all the time. That was weird. Not all the time, but I do. I do think about. I'm sorry, that thing just distracted me. That was weird. I don't know why I went blank there for a second. But anyways, like when I'm playing a game, I'm usually instinctual. Need to go here, here, here. There's no thought necessarily about it. It's like, why do I need to go here, or just thinking about the reason I need to go here. It's just kind of instinctual. I don't know why I brought
You
that
understand
up.
the question? Sometimes you are absorbed in the world. When you are watching an absorbing game, when you are listening to an absorbing talk, you are not looking into the thoughts in your mind. You're
I swear I didn't watch this video.
looking. You should be absorbed in the object. When somebody is performing, a skilled surgeon is performing a difficult operation for hours together. The mind is completely absorbed in the action. He better not be introspecting. Yeah. What are my feelings like? Am I watching the breath? No. Keep your mind on the operation. Okay. Now we are ready to answer the question. When you are not introspecting, that means when your mind is thinking about something outside, other than your mind, absorbed in something outside. This experience, did you experience it or not? You're not thinking about it, but did you experience it or not? Now there will be a sound. Did you hear it? Now when you think that I heard it, you're getting a memory and thinking about it. But when you heard it directly, it was a direct conscious experience, right? Were you thinking about it in your mind? No. You heard it directly as a conscious experience. Your mind recognized it as a sound of clapping. And then when you look inside, okay, I remember I just experienced the Swami clapping his hands. That's the mind thinking about another thought.
I wonder if there's a separate. Sorry, I wonder if I'm not very familiar with the different sections of the brains, but I think the thought process of the brain is, I think, in the front probably, or somewhere in the brain, and then the memories in a separate section of the brain. So your thought process your thought process is recollecting stuff from memory, short-term and long-term memory. So it's not like one complete jumble or brain. It's like one section. It's actually multiple sections. So the reason why I bring this up is kind of like, I guess you can think about your thoughts because there are different sections of your brain. I guess that's the whole point.
Both these cases, there is experience. Something is experiencing these things. When the mind is looking and thinking about things in the world, it is experienced. By what? When the mind is thinking about another thought, both of these are experienced. By what? Do you see? That one is the witness. That one is not the mind thinking about the mind. Mind thinking about the mind is one capacity of the mind. It's called introspection. But the witness is what illumines when the mind is not thinking about the mind, a sudden experience of the clap of a sound, yes. Then when you think about that experience of hearing a clap, mind is thinking about the mind, that is also illumined by the same witness. What is that witness?
Okay. Oh, gotta go back. Sorry, it's gonna last a lot longer than I thought. Because this part is the answer. Like most, like, I swear, like Sadhguru, Osho sometimes, and Krishnamurti, whenever I watch their videos, it's like he answers the questions like slow, like they answer the questions slowly throughout the entire video. It's not like one summed up summary like he does. At least in this one he does. Where in Osho and Sadhguru, I'm like, what? Where's the answer? And I was expecting it at the very end, but I realized that it's kind of spread throughout the entire videos, where he talks about everything and then sums up the answer at the very end, which is, I guess the way I expect to learn things. I guess is the answer isn't like sprinkled throughout the entire video. It's like summed up very nicely at the end.
When your mind is thinking about something outside, other than your mind, absorbed in something outside, this experience, did you experience it or not? You're not thinking about it, but did you experience it or not? Now there'll be a sound. Did you hear it? Now when you think that I heard it, you're getting a memory and thinking about it. But when you heard it directly, it was a direct conscious experience, right? Were you thinking about it in your mind? No. You heard it directly as a conscious experience. Your mind recognized it as a sound of clapping. And then when you look inside, okay, I remember I just experienced the Swami clapping his hands. That's the mind thinking about another thought. In both these cases, there is experience. Something is experiencing these things. When the mind is looking and thinking about things in the world, it is experienced. By what? When the mind is thinking about another thought, both of these are experienced. By what? Do you see?
Okay.
That one is the witness. That one is not the mind thinking about the mind. Mind thinking about the mind is one capacity of the mind. It's called introspection. But the witness is what illumines when the mind is not thinking about the mind, a sudden experience of the clap of a sound, yes. Then when you think about that experience of hearing a clap, mind is thinking about the mind, that is also illumined by the same witness. Both of these are experienced. By what?
Sorry.
Do you see? That one is the witness. That one is not the mind thinking about the mind. Mind thinking about the mind is one capacity of the mind. It's called introspection. But the witness is what illumines when the mind is not thinking about the mind, a sudden experience of the clap of a sound, yes. Then when you think about that experience of hearing a clap, mind is thinking about the mind, that is also illumined by the same witness. What is that witness?
I definitely will have to watch this a few more times. So basically, earlier he was talking about how our eyes, our inputs are separate from the object that they're witnessing. The eyes are witnessing the world, which is being transmitted to the brain. The ears are witnessing the sounds of the world, and it's being transmitted to the brain. Our nose are witnessing the smells of the world, and it's being transmitted to the brain. Then the brain and the eyes themselves, the eyes and the world are separate. Then the brain and the world, and then the eyes are separate. Okay, I think I'll probably look stupid just staring out of the middle of nowhere, or maybe even looking at the picture of him. Yeah, actually, probably. I noticed that I'm just staring off into space. I'm looking at Swami there. it's kind of goes back to kind of like the who, like, we were created by God, then who created God kind of deal. Like, for examples, we create robots, God created us, then who created God? Kind of the thing that he was talking about in his other video about this infinite loop of who created who. Because, you know, the argument for, like, I guess a lot of religious people is that we were created by God. And the thought is the fact that there's a creator for everything. You know, like I guess the greatest example for that's like the watch. You know, the watch obviously was created, so therefore there's a watchmaker. And but the thing is though is that becomes an infinite thing. Like, okay, who created the watchmaker? The father and the mother. Who created the father and the mother? Their fathers and their mothers. Well, you go back far enough, eventually you'll end up being with one last group of people or organism. And then who created the organism? God did. Then who created God? Well, no, it stops there. It's like, well, no, you said everything had to have a creator. So this is kind of like the example is going where the world, our eyes are observing the world, our mind is observing our eyes, the Naturia is observing the mind. Kind of deal. It's like it's going back, going back, going back until you can't go back any further. I probably making this video last a lot longer than it should. Well, I definitely gotta watch this video again. So anyways, that's my reaction to who is the witness of the mind. And this, honestly, what he was saying here is exactly what I was thinking about. I still haven't really put it all together just yet, but I definitely gotta watch this last portion, or at least most of it. And it's only 7 minutes long, so I definitely gotta watch all of it again a couple of hundred times, just to maybe either to destroy my argument or to reinforce it somehow. But that is exactly what I was thinking about when I first watched this 4-part series. Or maybe it's 2 parts and I made it to 4 parts. I think it was just a 2-part, just because it's super long. Anyways, that's my reaction to Who is the Witness of the Mind, Swami. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.